Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.
Thank you and welcome to Female Filmmakers Fuse. I'm your host, Alexa Polar. Robin's not with me today. I don't know why that made me laugh. Real quick, just a reminder, the elevator pitch contest is coming to a close soon, so you still have about a week left. So April 1st is the last day to submit your short film and get it produced. So basically the winning short script will be produced by us. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Why not do it? It's a free contest. Like, seriously. April 1st. Don't be a fool. Send your short script. You got this. Okay. Call in 818-602-4929. Again, I'm going to go slower. 818-602-4929. And it's awesome to have you two ladies here. I don't want to mess up your name, so I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. Okay.
Well, how could you possibly mess up Reiko? Yeah, I never get Reiko. Yeah. Reiko Ayelsworth.
Nice. Thank you. And you're a director.
I am a director. I directed this lovely lady.
And
Amazon. Fierce Amazon to my left.
And I'm Tanya Perez, the fierce Amazon.
now, I knew I wouldn't mess up your name, but I wanted to be equal. So
Fantastic.
And you're an actress and a writer.
Writer and director as well.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yes.
Okay, well,
And producer.
And producer.
How many hats were you wearing for this project then?
Professional clown.
Professional clown. Really?
Giggles the clown.
Giggles. Well, Giggles and my adult clown is also called Cha Cha Margarita.
Okay, hey, wait a minute. Step back. Because I don't know if you're being serious or not. Because I'm queen of sarcasm. So you're a clown and then an adult clown. Please clarify what the difference is.
Okay, so I've been doing children's party entertainment for a long time. So Giggles was my my children party clown. But then a couple years ago, I decided I wanted to do something for the adults at night, so more cabaret, in the realm of cabaret and burlesque.
Okay. So not so much of a clown, unless you're pulling handkerchiefs from.
Oh, it's a clown.
There's
really?
There's super clown, but she's got a little bit of an edge.
Okay, I'm intrigued now.
Not to plug other films, but this hilarious film that you directed and we're in. What's it called again?
Peep Show.
Peep Show. Oh,
Peep
my
Show.
God.
Where can we find that?
Yeah, it's.
Is it based on your persona as the adult clown version? I'm doing the quotes. It's like
the
air quotes.
It was just a goofy idea, but yes, it was the merger of what if this person who at night she moonlights as a peep show dancer, but gets it confused, and her day job is the clown, party entertainment. So
you had a long day, and
yeah,
kids learned a lot that day.
We all did.
So what's okay? I was running late today. I live in Orange County because rent is so much better there than it is here. I'm not gonna lie.
I hear you.
So that's my situation. Not that anyone needs to know, but I was running late. I'm usually pretty good, but I was held up and hit a lot of traffic, and we made it. And I saw and witnessed the enthusiasm you both ladies had in the elevator coming up. So yesterday you had, was it your premiere?
No, it was the California premiere.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Tell me a little bit about your film. What's the name? What's it about?
Chinese Theater.
Oh, hello.
Cozy little premiere.
Only it's 80 feet, 90 feet.
Oh my
big,
God!
Like screen.
Nice.
I couldn't be there. I'm doing a play right now, so
okay.
I got 4 show weekends, so I could not go, and it just killed me. But yeah, it sounds like it was packed. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Is it still showing, or where can we find it, or where's the next showing? And what's the name of of your film?
So it's called Veronica.
Okay.
And we don't have it posted anywhere yet, just because we've been doing the festival circuit.
Hold up. Pause right there. So you don't have it posted anywhere yet, but you had pretty much a packed full house yesterday at a screening at the Man's Chinese Theater.
Yeah, it's been gaining steam
Seriously?
for a while. It's great, yeah, because we've had a few screenings, festivals in New York, across the country, across the world, and then at the ITV Fest, which was great.
Nice.
And so we've both been so busy. We know what we want to do is, of course, take this to the next step, which is always the intention was to make this into a series.
Okay, very cool.
My background is mainly television. And as far as directing, there's so much material right now that's going into television. And, of course, I love film. I want to direct film, but and this held up as a short film. But it was originally, our idea was to make it a proof of concept, and then we went, wait a minute, this actually holds up as a short film. So we've been writing that, but every so often we go, wait a minute. Wasn't our original intention to make this a series? Oh, yeah. All those other episodes. Yeah. So it's been so great, and we've been really fortunate with these festivals and met some great people. But now we got to get to work. We got to get our pitch deck together. We got our Bible. We got
But you're going to utilize the success, obviously, of the short film as to why it would be a success as a series.
Yeah.
Which works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that it's a great idea, and it's a wacky idea, and it's off the wall. But I think we needed the short to show why we had to be the ones connected to this
idea.
Okay. I think that really showing why Tanya has to be the central character.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I as a collaborator. I'm not letting go.
I don't want you to let it go.
Okay.
So how did you
my
two
ride or
ladies, awesome, how did you two ladies meet? How long have you known each other?
Oh my God. Over 15 years. But the thing is, we started out in an improv group together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd meet once a week, maybe every other week. We'd drop out for a few months and come back. But there was this improv group that...
the Wednesday party people.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't just comedy. It was we just dug really deep, and then after a while, I think we just realized, we looked at each other and was like, why don't we start making shit? Why are we not doing that?
Right.
And so shortly after, I think I got. A script idea, a sketch comedy idea. I've written on a napkin that
seriously,
that Tanya said, "Hey, do you want to direct this?" And I said, "Yeah, but I think it has legs for something more of a dramedy than just sketch comedy." So,
and that's Veronica.
Yeah.
When was that? How long ago was that?
Well, the first idea of it and the first sketch of it was about 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. God. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was really hey, there's this funny idea, and I sent it to her, and she's like, she had a laugh, and then she's like, dig deeper. And then when we really started developing it, was like, oh, there's this whole world. There's things that for me that I connected to much deeper, much richer, and more complex than I even was tapping into with the other comedy ideas. It was just very here's the joke, and this one was really I think one of the big things that Reiko had tapped into was, she's like, who do you want to play? Who do you specifically want to play? And as the lead. And I think I actually sat on it for a couple months before I ever sent her anything. And then when I sent it, she was like, okay, let's have a little reading.
Yeah, this is the thing also. It's about identity. And this is something that I think as women in this industry and actors, especially a Latina actor, a Latinx actor, you know, you had been so pigeonholed, and I had years of frustration. I think, you know, with we all do, but watching this woman who I knew was capable of so much more than she was giving opportunity. The talent way outreached the opportunity.
Okay.
So when I actually, the first few passes, I hope you don't mind me saying, I think you wrote better for the other characters than you did for you as the central character. And I think it's to acknowledge that brainwashing that we get, that becomes so internalized of, okay, this is what I play. This is, you know, the sassy best friend, or the maid is what she was getting called in for. And
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, and I would stand, you know, aside after improving with this woman whose range was amazing. You.
You as well.
Yeah, still talking about you. You know, and then, you know, to have her go, oh, I'm made with an accent, and I'm going in for another one. You know, and then saying I'm not going to go in for that anymore, and then, you know, still getting these sideline roles. And I was finally in a position, after just fuming about this, in a position to say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to play? And make it more personal. So we spent about a year just basically me pushing her kind of going, I don't want to, and crying, and then doing it, and then giving me pages the next day. And I'm like, this is brilliant. So we have a whole series. We have a series of episodes, and, you know, Tanya is such an amazing there's nobody like her. That's the thing. It's like there's nobody like her, and I think when you have people like that, sometimes they do have to create their own material.
This is true. And you have, and you're going to continue to.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that this, you know, collaborating with Reiko has really shown me that not only the availability of stories, but I think it was my growing up period of being able to say, okay, I've been able to do really tiny little pieces and see myself in that because other people were telling me that. And then I had this person who was really literally like pushing me and say, here, go, keep going deeper, keep going further. And then it didn't feel comfortable until it did. And then I was just like, this is,
and then
I get
you
it.
Just took off.
That's amazing, though. It's good because not everyone has that person. So it's really great that you both came together and collaborated, and that you were so supportive towards her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
still.
it's just, yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about the people I'm passionate about. It's a handful of people, and I feel like Tanya and I get each other, and we also have a history together of working together.
Right.
So I feel like that's gold dust. You know, if you have that as a filmmaker, as any kind of artist, if you have that, those years of relationship and knowing each other's work, don't. I think a lot of women fritter that away. I think that a lot of fritter, is that a?
No,
I don't think that's a verb.
Word of the day.
Fritter. Yum. So, no, but I think, you know, acknowledging one of the things as women we have is that we have these deep collaborative relationships, and I think a lot of times we don't recognize that as a powerful force.
I've seen it firsthand thrown away because women, like you said, we get pigeonholed. We get, you know, we feel like this is the norm and we can't step out of it. So I've known people that have let go of relationships that could have been what you both have because they felt like this is what I have to do. Yeah. You know, and they've chosen to work with other people that were demeaning and whatnot to them. I mean, I was a part of I wasn't a part of it, but I witnessed with my ears because I didn't see it. It was a conversation. It was a phone conversation that someone was having. It was a woman she was having with her boss, I guess, if you will, because it was who hired her in the crew, and it was a male, and he had the other person that he hired on the phone. So it was a conference call, and I was asked to remain quiet. So I was like just quiet sitting there because we were working on something else. And I was trying to ignore it because it wasn't my project. It had nothing to do with me. And they were very demeaning to this woman, and she just laughed it off. Like, and then later, it affected my friendship relationship with this person because I defended this person and said, hey, how did you not notice this person was really rude to you? Yeah. Like, you can't speak for women or be all for women and whatnot and then allow someone to treat you this way. You know, and what was unfortunate was that this person continued to defend these people. And that's what's unfortunate, because I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute, I'm not trying to get in the way of whatever opportunities you think these people are going to provide you when they're not even giving you what you actually want in life. They're just patting you on the head and being like, you're going to be this to us, but that's not what you want to be.
Well, and I feel like we've all been, again, brainwashed a lot. And I think this next generation is not so much, is fighting that and just saying, no, we don't have to accept that.
Exactly.
You know, that we should all fight over a tiny slice of the pie.
Right.
That the cool girl is the one who hangs out with the guys and, you know, and is basically a guy, but with, you know, a model body. You know, like that's sort of the ideal that we were raised on with film. And it speaks to how influential media, like what we're doing. I finally feel like I've wanted to direct since I started in this business, but it was literally laughed at when I was starting out. I mean, I walked into a writer's room of a show that I was on, and they were laughing about the idea of ever having a female writer or director, and that continued. And you know, in the sets I was on was 95%, and you know, there are ways you protect yourself around that, and one of the main ways is there was a time, and this is what I love about what's happening now, one of the things, there was a time when showing any ambition in this industry not only was seen in a negative way, a woman who's ambitious, but also, whereas it was a positive thing for men, but also left you as a target. So I would walk into the rooms and say, well, you know, if I don't act, maybe I'll go back to science, and you know, there's so many other things, you know, and I didn't even, you know, I saw there weren't any opportunities for the women directors, but very few, but basically I had to present myself as not having any ambition. And I walk into these rooms now with Alliance of Women Directors or what, you know, these groups, and there is this zest, ambitious zest.
It's
that
different.
I love.
It's different. It's different being on set when the percentage is different of women that are working or whose key roles they're working in. I've noticed that on a couple of sets where if the women outweigh the men, it's just a different environment, and it's because we're by nature nurturing, right? So we're all supportive and looking out for each other, and it's a lot of thank yous. And then if we do get angry, because that's normal, it's a lot of apologies right away, like, I'm sorry that I wasn't towards you, it was just like I didn't agree with whatever, or I was upset about something. But I'm noticing that we're and not to speak badly about men, because I know a handful, I say a handful, that sucks, but I do know some men that are fantastic and super supportive as well, but then there are some that just can't get out of what they feel is the norm.
And
I've experienced that.
It's not individuals. There are great individuals, but we have to change the system.
Exactly.
And you know, and I think there's a great thing that we're naturally collaborative. I wouldn't say nurturing necessarily, but then there are women who are assholes. Yeah, so
right
it's
here.
not just that. Hello.
I know when to stop though, and when to be.
But it was great. There's an ally, Michael over at Canon. He's wonderful, and he says, I love the Alliance of Women Directors, and I love women directors because essentially directors, male, female, they're all the same. They want what they want. They have their clear vision. They want you to help help them just get to what they want. They're stubborn. All these male and female are the same. But he said when you get a group of women together, once they decide who's leading the project, everyone does their best to focus on the project, on making the project the best possible. Whereas the men all are vying for attention,
right,
and and acknowledgement, and well, not all, but
right.
I think it's like the I think what he was basically saying, the ensemble of women work together to make a better product.
Right. No, and that's true. And I had an experience at a camera house. It was about 4 years ago, and I think it has changed, but I'll never forget this. And I mainly write and direct as well, but I mainly write. And I went with this DP that I used to know, and she's female, obviously. I'm saying she. And it was mainly for her, but I was going there just to support, and then so I can learn about the cameras and whatnot, because I'm not really savvy when it comes to that. I used to be when I was younger, but then as I found my niche and liked writing, I said, I don't need that. I'm going to focus on this, and that's what I did. And I'm talking about like junior high. That's when I started doing that. And so that's when I let it go as well. But we're at this camera house, and it was a room filled. There was some women, but the majority were men, and they were talking about these cameras. They had a panel, and when they were done, they're saying, why don't you come up, and if you have any questions. So she walked up because she had some questions, and she was looking to see which camera she wanted to use for a feature that she was going to be working on. And there was two other men. She walked up first and introduced herself, and then the two other men were behind her. The person that was leading the panel was like, oh, nice to meet you. And then he ignored her and went to the men and asked what questions they had.
Yeah.
And then just focused on them. And she was standing there going like, what just happened? I was here first. Like, I literally had questions. So she just looked at me, and I was like, she was waiting for like 10 minutes, and I think 10 minutes too much. And at that point, she was like, I'm out. So she walked away because she was completely ignored. I mean, it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, you're welcome for this panel. And then he was like, gentlemen, what do you want? Or what do you need? What's your questions? And they were just like, oh. Yeah. And some of them weren't even, a few of them, because there was other men that started walking up, weren't even cinematographers. They were just like ACs, and not anything to knock them down, but they were saying, this is for the cinematographers. We want to talk to you. Yeah. And that's what she was. And then he went to them. And it was kind of like, what can I do for you? What do you have questions on? Oh, and they started asking all the generic stuff that they already covered, where she was going to talk about, like, I want to rent this for this feature. Like, you can have my business. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you just lost my business.
There are options. You can walk away from it. Yeah. It's hard to. I use female cinematographers on both the projects, the one I just finished too, and it's important to me because I do want a female gaze. I do think it's different. I don't want that shot of her stepping out of the car in a high heel and then tracking up her body, and it's like, no, I don't want that.
I personally never drive in high heels because I'm like, what if I get stuck? I'm that person.
Me too.
It's like, no, comfy shoes for me, and then when I need them, I'll pull them out. But other than that, I don't get that at all. It's just like,
I know. I've noticed that there is the difference that working with a female and a male DP, and both wonderfully talented, but I do see that the questions are asked differently, especially when it's like, what are we looking for here in this particular shot, and the difference between beauty lighting and telling the story,
right?
Which they both can equally tell a story, but sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to reframe this a different way. It's also the same thing as like, how do I talk to the male crew? And sometimes you'll get a glazed look I've gotten glazed looks of being like, okay, so you want this? Whereas, if I've used somebody who is, in female, who's, a sound engineer or something like that, they're just asking different questions. So there's like I feel like sometimes working with women, you can bypass the ego.
Right.
And then sometimes.
And I don't want to, I'm not trying to, I don't think any of us are trying to block out men.
No.
It's just that that's been our only, and the thing is we can look at, we all have stories.
But like you said, it's a system. We're systematically used to things. Like I host this show. I started this nonprofit, the Female Filmmakers Fuse. And so I kick myself because, not because of that, but because of things that happened after doing this, where I'm like, damn it, why did I let that get to me? I was on set, I was on set directing a feature that I wrote. And one of the crew members, it was a male, we were going over the shots, and the DP was telling him, oh, this is what she wants. And it was my first feature directing. Everything else I've done was short. That's so great. I was like really excited about it. And she's explaining it to him, and he laughs. And in front of all everyone that's there, not that it was a lot of people, it was a small set. And he was like, don't do that. He was like, and he just started laughing. I felt, and then my DP started laughing. So I was just like, well, that sucks. Because there was a reason why I wanted a certain shot.
What?
Yeah.
That's
and so
bullshit.
What sucks and this is where I kick myself, is that I did not get that shot because I let them make me feel like amateurish. Okay, I guess I won't do that.
Oh my God.
And there was a reason for that shot.
I just heard another story about that, where the DP or the camera operator actually changed a shot without asking.
Oh no.
And he said, well, yeah, I just changed it because, it's doing this. And she said, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted it to do. So yeah, there are a lot. The thing is, I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about.
Right. Let's go to the positive stuff.
But the thing is that right now, it's the first time in my lifetime, I think in anyone's lifetime, where people are saying it's not just. The perception was that if a person of color, if a woman, if LGBTQ, if they were getting an opportunity, that it was some handout. And the thing is, now, finally people are realizing we are hungry for these stories. And we are tired of the same stories being told by the same people. Honestly, the same way. Yep. And that's the thing. It's like, I can't see another. It's got to be really extraordinary if I'm going to see another story about a teenage boy who wants to sleep with the hot chick in school, and all the trials and tribulations he has to go through. Because he's this middle class white kid.
Or the same as, or the reverse, where you have the female who's then she's tough but really likes the guy. Those kinds of stories. I think that is. I question, is that better, or how do we tell these stories in a very different way, and that's genuine? Yeah. Even with something with a broad comedy. So I think that that's something where I go, okay, now the floodgates have opened, quote unquote, because you see it all in the media. Yes. But it's like, now we have to go ahead and say, how are people who haven't had these opportunities to step into key roles, like directing or the heads of writers' room, how are we nurturing them to effectively tell these stories? Exactly. And which is so great to see, Reiko really step into this leadership role, because you have been honing your whole life to be able to go ahead and now say, hey, now I'm a director. Now I can go ahead and
and there's demand for, which I think had always been. There are huge campaigns, billions of dollars have been spent on convincing us that we don't want what we actually want. Right. Women over 40 or 30 don't want to see themselves. People of color don't actually want to see themselves on screen. No, that's all bullshit. Yeah. It's been completely disproven many times. Yes. And so I think finally the pressure of, you're actually leaving money on the table if you don't tell stories of women and of people of color and LGBTQ, because everyone has someone in their life, and even if they We're bored of the old stories.
Yeah.
You know, and there was, you know, and this campaign that's trying to tell us that we don't want what we actually want is not working so well anymore.
Right.
And I'm thrilled about that. And that's part of why I want to direct now.
Because you're telling the story the way.
I didn't want to tell stories about the same old people. You know, it's like, yeah, I could have gotten in there maybe as one of the few female directors telling male stories in a male way.
Right.
And that, you know, which, you know, and again, I like a lot of these stories. I love film. I love TV. I love a lot of what's out there, and has been out there. But it's like you've been giving, you know, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches your whole life. And it's like, I love peanut butter and jelly, and some are better than others, and some are really terrible. But somebody all of a sudden is like, hey, here's a lasagna. And you're like, what? You know?
That's a huge difference, yeah.
What is this? You know? And so it's like, and then you can have, you know, a fruit salad, and you can have, you know, whatever. You know, but it's like,
there's a variety.
I don't have to just eat variations of good and bad peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's
I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, by the way.
No, that's a good analogy, though. That's a great analogy. That's a great way to explain it. Because you're right. With the stories being the same, with like how you make the example of women as well, because you always get the woman not looking good. Oh, look, she took off her glasses.
Oh, God.
Look, she combed her hair. The dress is a little bit more form-fitting. She looks different now. I'm like, come on.
Right? You know, and that's the
She
thing.
plucked her eyebrows. What the hell?
That's Julia
Who
Roberts.
is this woman? Sandra Bullock, that was you the whole time?
I know. And that's been the paradigm, you know, and that's what we grew up with, but it's so much more interesting than that. I mean, that's the thing. It's like nothing against all that, you know, it's so much. I'm bored of it. I'm really bored of it. You know, I want to see people who don't look like anyone else, like Tanya, who don't act like anyone else. I want to see proactive stories of women. You know, even when there were they were doing the numbers on, of course, there were more male leads than female leads.
Right.
But even within the female leads, how many of those stories were about women who were reacting to what a guy is doing? And every action in the movie was in reaction to. Those numbers were huge.
Yeah.
You know, and also white women who look a certain way. But when you have someone like Tanya playing this character in Veronica, who is taking action in her life, she's the one setting things in motion,
Right.
Which is still really rare to see up there. And I want to see more stories like that.
Yeah, because, I mean, look at how successful Roma did. And they're freaking out about that. They're like, what? Women look like that? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of women.
You know, we all have different shapes, size. You know, like we're all very different, and we all have our own story, and sometimes they're similar. We just tell it different because of how we were raised or where we came from, or culturals or religious beliefs or whatever. It doesn't matter, but it plays into us. And those stories are interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like what you said. I'm interested in hearing that. You know, because then I get to learn more. Like I bought a book once about religion, different types of religion. And I had a friend message me on social media, and she said, why did you get that book? And I said, because all I know is what I know. And in order for me to feel like I can respect others, I want to learn about their religion. So I know.
What were you raised with?
Catholic. But now I call myself a convenient Catholic, so I only pray when it's convenient to me. But
I know that very well.
We got this, right? Yeah. Sunday, you know, school, all that when I was a kid, and then it started phasing away, but still, you know, like I still have those beliefs and whatnot, but I don't agree with everything. And so that's why also I don't go to church every Sunday or whatever, obviously, because I'm here. But that's why I got that book. And it was a 10-minute guide to each religion or something like that. And it was really interesting. And I haven't read them all, but it's like it opened up my mind to understand why people are a certain way. And then I respect that. It doesn't mean necessarily I agree with them, and some things I agree with too. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Like I should think of that too, whatnot, So it's really interesting. And when I said that to her, she was like, holy crap, I never thought of it that way. And I was like, that's part of the problem that we're having in society, is that we're so ingrained with what we were raised or taught to believe that we can't believe outside that box.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what's wrong, and it blows other people's mind. We're like, why do you feel that way? Oh, you're this and that. I'm like, no, why? Who cares? Why does it affect you?
There's so many, and there's so many untold stories, which is why, and it's finally, there's a way to tell them. I mean, just the medium was so locked in before, especially in television, there were only a few networks, and what got through was the power structure, was run by the power structure. And now there are so many different ways to get in and to have access to eyeballs,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's an exciting time now.
Yeah. And then that's why Veronica's doing so successful as well, because we want to hear different stories. We want to see different stories. And I can see that it will be a success as a series. I hope you guys are going to actually move to that level.
Oh, yeah.
We just have to take the time.
I know.
But yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Busy, but I mean, it breaks open some paradigms. And, there are a lot of things it busts open that strange phenomenon of single white female, where every few years or every couple years there's a film or a TV show about a crazy woman who wants to take over the life of another woman. Why? Like, what is this whole horror genre? Horror subgenre of the crazy woman who, and this kind of this sexualizing of the crazy woman, for one, and this paradigm that women are essentially crazy and jealous, and what is that, and what keys into women with that as well, and what if someone did that and they weren't crazy?
Well, look,
trying to hurt anyone.
Look at the politics. For years, we were told that women shouldn't be in politics because we're too emotional. It was the same thing with the military. I was in the Army, and they were like,
you were?
yes. And there was kind of like,
you.
oh,
Thank you.
So it's like they're there, and they're saying they're too emotional. They shouldn't be in certain ranks or in certain positions and whatnot. And then you have AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
And you see how her demeanor is. She's calm and collective, and she's well-spoken. And then they had two examples of men in politics, including Brett Kavanaugh, who was super emotional. And it's kind of like, really? Screaming, nearly in tears, because, he felt he was in the wrong or wronged or whatnot. Yes.
Well, if you're a white guy, then that's passion, right?
Yeah.
If you're a woman, then you're being emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's no way. I mean, there's no way women can get away with that still.
Right.
So there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But
well, when we're talking about gender normative, it's just like, I mean, that's where I think the crux of what the system has just been relying on for so long, and if you just start poking at it, then everyone starts getting up in arms, because we're really talking about the true sense of what we learn as what it's like to be female, what it's like to be male, and how we associate those roles. And if you are in the center of that, or if you're blurring the lines, people just don't get it. They don't understand it. I mean, I've literally had people like, I don't get that. And if, especially even with Veronica, I'm like, I don't understand that. And I was like, well, I question, well, what does that tap into you? Like, why do you not understand that? What are you not understanding? And then when they really reflect on that, they go, oh, or, it's not, it's not for me. And I think that's the difference between an open mind and a closed mind.
Well, I mean, if it's not going to be for everyone.
Well, no,
right?
but I mean, if they're just closing it off completely.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot of people who are doing, but we can't be discouraged by it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people who haven't been seen or spoken to.
True.
And that's who I'm talking to. Like, I don't care. Like, there are a lot of people who won't key in, and I'm not mad at that. And the thing is, like, I think this, again, the paradigm has been, if you don't like the paradigm that it's been before, it's a paradigm within the paradigm. But if you, if you don't like the previous context, if you don't like misogyny humor or racist humor or something, then you must be angry, like an angry woman or an angry person of color or something. And the thing is, like, I have a right at this point to say, nah, that's not for me. I'm tired of it. Like, I just don't think it's funny.
Right.
Like, I'm not mad at you. Go do your thing.
Right.
But you're losing viewers because there are a lot of us who never thought it was funny, but we thought we had to, to be part of the club.
Box office don't lie, right? I mean, look
Right?
how the
Right?
recent films. I mean, like
Black Panther.
Finally.
what is it, Captain Marvel as well?
Captain Marvel.
And they were
Wonder
like
Woman.
a lot of people were pissed about that. Wonder Woman, yes,
Yeah.
and then they were tripping out on like her thigh jiggled. Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah, there was a whole thing like, why does her thigh jiggle? And the director was like, why wouldn't it? Women's thighs jiggle. And they showed it a difference again, I guess, how a man would shoot it, and it'd be like solid, nice, firm, sexy thigh. And hers was just like, and she's still, obviously, she's a beautiful woman. It jiggled a little. So what? it was a topic, and I couldn't believe that. I was like looking at this. I was like, seriously? Because her thigh jiggled?
Yeah, there's going to be these trolls everywhere. Like, just, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to leave them alone. But it's funny because they talk about, I think one thing is that we need to reach out with what you were talking about with the emotions thing. It's like, yeah, men are so, that they're not men, not all men, but there's a group of men who have been in control, who are so threatened, their manhood is so threatened. And we're seeing the violence come out, snap, it's like, okay, women are more emotional, but maybe that's a good thing, and so more expressive.
Right.
Because you've got all these people who are shooting up mosques and synagogues and churches, and and maybe these guys weren't expressing much emotion, but
this is true.
This is maybe this is something that we need to rewrite for tenets of manhood.
Absolutely. I read a meme the other day, and I felt totally relatable to it. I was like, that's me. And it's like, just because I'm crying doesn't mean I'm upset or emotional. It means like I'm trying everything in my power to not kick your ass.
Yeah, well, that's also
it's
it's interesting because I've been doing this play, Black Superhero Magic Mama, and it deals with
awesome.
a lot of it's a great title, but it deals with a lot of the expectations that Black women have.
Are you directing that? Or
No,
you're
I'm in it.
Okay,
I'm in it.
So you act as well.
I do.
Okay.
I do. That's my main. That's my.
Because I know you guys
background.
at the improv. I know you mentioned that, but I didn't know that you continued. I thought you were just focused on the directing.
Oh, she's a fantastic actress.
Oh,
Seriously.
hello. Plug.
But that was my line of access before.
Okay.
Was acting.
So no, sorry. Back to this.
And I love,
show.
So, and I'm doing this show, and it's because Black women aren't allowed to express grief and emotion the way that white women are, and it's an interesting conversation, but I do think that there's been a suppressed rage. A lot of tears are suppressed rage because we're not allowed to. And I'm sort of a mixed undercover like person, but I'm in between. But I hope that changes. I hope women are allowed to rage instead of cry.
Right.
When they want, when that's the actual emotion.
Right.
But it's true. What you're saying is very true.
Yeah. Because, I notice that when I'm getting into an argument and I start to feel heated, and you know how your body starts to feel warm, it starts from your feet and starts to raise, and that's just like the temperature of like, oh, she's gonna pop off, And then as it's getting here, the eye starts getting watery, and it's not because I feel hurt. It's not because it's weird because when you get to that point, it's kind of like, oh, look, she's weak, she's gonna cry. And it's kind of like, oh, no. I'm doing everything I can so that my head doesn't explode and I don't catch a charge.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm getting this way. And so that at that point I try to, and I don't know if a lot of women do this or a lot of people in general, when they get to that point, it's kind of like they either say something they'll regret or walk away if they don't hurt the other person. I I'm not a violent person because I'm just not strong enough. I would get my tongue is sharp. So that's my choice of weapon. I know how to hurt people with my voice, with what I'm going to say. And I'm super perceptive, so I'm kind of like, I pick up on how to hurt someone, which sucks. I know when to use it though, and I try never to use it. So when I get angry and I get to that level, I try to step away before I say something that's going to be damaging to that person, because I know what to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's why, and it's kind of like, I get people asking me or that I'm getting into an argument, why do you walk away? Like, finish the argument. And I'm like, I'm walking away for both of us because I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret later. And then it's going to really mess you up because I can't fight. That's a fact. I'm not a physical person.
Well, as a grown-up too, I mean, assault charges are no fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's totally overrated.
But I'm saying that that's the difference. We know, how to control that. It's a learning process.
It's the perception. It's like when Lindsey Graham cries. When an old white politician cries, it's like angel tears, sacrament.
Oh, yeah.
Like
crocodile tears as well.
Yeah, crocodile tears. But it's like, oh, aren't they so?
Yeah.
Passionate and for and for women, it's like, oh, there goes the
there
woman.
There goes.
Crying.
Here comes the waterworks.
So I think, I think that's again, the system has to be rocked, has to be changed, and there are lots of nuances out there, but we're finally talking about them.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's a really good thing because I think it's like we're now having conversations to even approach language and communication and how we do that, because that gets really exciting. I can pop off too.
Right.
I've seen it. It's scary. Oh my God. She gets this look in her eyes, and I'm
That's
like,
it. You're
my
like,
God.
step away.
Yeah.
You're just gonna get shanked, and 5 minutes later, you're gonna be like, what happened to me?
I know, it's like the cartoon when all of a sudden, you see the red boiling up like a thermometer.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
But I think I think it's important, and I think it's also like at least for me, I won't speak for all women, but I have seen, like, I am fully aware even when that stuff happens, because it just makes me go, well, why am I reacting this way? What is it? What is it at the core? And especially working in these collaborations, because we're really in a thick mix of it. And it's saying, okay, if I am the director and if I'm not being able to communicate in a way, what is it at my core? Why am I feeling either physically or, a combination of physically and emotionally, like what's going on? And how do I effectively communicate past that? Which I'm always curious about. And it's great to be in these, working on all these short films. It's like it's my film school, it's my graduate school, it's my PhD.
And what's great is that we're talking about how we facilitate and manage emotions, but for the most part, when I work with a group of women, especially, it's the eyes are on the project. Like when that's the most important thing in the room, then. Everything, you just do what you need to do, and if someone has to have a cry, if someone has to, punch a wall, then you do it all in service to the project.
Right.
That's why it's so important to get what your goal is clear.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we had that. We shot 4 locations one day.
What?
Yeah. One day, 4 locations. This woman was running in heels
Badass.
down she
Sunset. We were
to
catching
sunset.
Oh
catching
my
a sunset.
goodness.
Yeah. Badass. I mean,
Damn. I'm just like, wait, which part of Sunset? Because there's some where it goes, you got like little hilly parts, like where was it a leveled section?
Yeah,
of Sunset?
It was in New York. We shot
I'm
this.
sorry. I thought you meant Sunset Boulevard. Okay, my bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Then you were playing with time.
Yeah, no, we were,
We had so much time to do it then, if you were doing it on
we had
Sunset.
so very
Insane.
little time.
Oh, okay.
So little time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we had to, we were in the middle of shooting one part of the script, and then we had to stop, jump into cabs for half, like for the
Cab
the
in
small,
New York, how much money do you use with?
and thank God it was not quote unquote that far.
Okay.
Yeah, the
But-
locations weren't. They were all in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
But still, I mean,
Yeah.
moving everything, it was
Gear.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was insanity, and every time I watch
4.
it, I go, oh my goodness, I remember this shot, and basically it was like, run, all right, come, and run back. We got to do the rest of it.
Yeah.
What season in New York? Because it gets hot there
It
too.
was August. We shot in August of 2017.
How is the temperature?
I don't remember.
it, but yeah. I
Because
remember. We weren't.
okay.
We were so focused.
That's
and,
good.
You know, but we did it. We did.
Yeah,
We kept our
yeah.
eyes on the
4.
prize. There were
Yeah.
some
4
more
locations.
winners than I think I would have done.
Yeah.
But that's
I-
awesome.
But I think it also, I mean, at least for me as the actor, once putting on that actor brain, was saying, I was just like, I don't have time to luxuriate, or, you know, I'm like, I know I'm so close to this project. I wrote this part for myself.
Yeah.
And it just was like, you know, having Reiko just be like, okay, this, let's take it again, give me some direction. And then there was a shorthand, which was
Yeah, that's the
Wonderful.
thing, knowing each other for so long. We have a shorthand.
Yeah. So it's like
And a
automatically.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, okay, I got you. I know what you want.
Yes.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and
That's rare.
I really urge women not to throw that away, because I think
Yeah.
men have been better about that. It's a great quality, you know, to say we have this trust, we have this relationship, we have this secondhand, this, you know, way of communicating that. Let's use it, and you know, and I think we have to really seize that. There's so many things. When I talk to women, I'm like, don't throw that away. You have
Yeah.
this, you have that, you have, you know, this experience, this skill, this,
Yeah.
you know.
That's crazy.
Resource.
It's almost like I needed to hear this. Okay. Quick question. Veronica, where can we find it? When can we find it? Plug. Are we ever going to be able to see the short? I mean, I know the series will come out and that's going to be great and successful. I feel like we're going to see that everywhere, but the short, where could we see that?
So we don't have it online.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's
So-
almost through the festival phase.
Gotcha.
But there's a website, Veronica the Film,
Yes.
I believe,
Yeah.
that kind of gives tastes of it.
Okay.
But it's coming soon.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep posted to that and I'll add the website. And where could we find you two ladies since we're wrapping up?
Right in the lobby.
At the Geffen too.
At the Geffen at 2
Okay,
and
there
7
you go.
o'clock.
Plug,
Yeah,
plug.
I'm doing a play right now through mid-April at the Geffen
Okay.
called Black Superhero Magic Mama.
I got to check it out. That sounds
Check it out.
amazing.
Yes.
And
Which I'm going to see tonight. Yay, I'm so excited.
Awesome.
And I'm going to be speaking at WonderCon next Saturday at
Okay.
10 a.m. During the All Shapes and Sizes Welcome panel. So that's my
Awesome.
next thing.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then I fly back to New York.
Okay, cool. So then I got to get you ladies back here for our festival and see how we can have you be a part of it.
Yes.
So thank you for being my wonderful guest. It was very
you.
insightful, and I hope to have you both back on. Even if you're in New York, we'll do it over the phone.
Right, I'm actually based here.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll have you here and you over
Great.
the phone if you're not here.
Yes.
We'll
I would
figure
love
it out.
that.
We'll get you a ticket, whatever it takes.
Yes.
So thank you both. Everyone, please have a safe and happy Sunday.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabello, only on LA Talk Radio.